But listen, let's talk about Kansas and UConn right now, a top 5 battle. There's a lot of stuff that I want to get to here. Tristan Newton was sensational tonight. The rest of UConn is still in stores. Their flight was actually delayed. They'll be getting there a little bit later. But Kevin McCullough hit 3 enormous threes down the stretch. The knock on him coming into the season was whether or not he was going to be able to shoot. He was fantastic.
Well, dude, it's been the knock on him for 4 years, and it's valid.
Mm-hmm.
It's valid because Kevin McCullough's not a great shooter, but you know what he is? Mentally tough as shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Kevin McCullough is. So, again, you're in a tight game here. Hunter Dickinson really didn't do much in the second half. Give you kind of a lot of credit. And the other guys just, honestly, like DeJuan Harris, he hasn't done much. He had 1 point last game. He had 3 points tonight. They get nothing out of their bench, Kansas, so they got to have somebody step up, and McCullough stepped up tonight and looked like, and I don't think he'll be a consistent number 2 option, but he certainly looked like it tonight to get a big win over UConn at home.
Yeah, I think we really need to have a conversation about what this Kansas team is right now and the way that we view them, because I feel like a lot of people have kind of written them off a little bit, right? The struggles that they had in that game against Marquette, the fact that they did not look great playing in that same building against Eastern Illinois where they beat UConn tonight in Fog Allen Fieldhouse. But we're sitting here right now on December 1st. It's still December 1st. It's not past midnight yet. And they have wins over UConn. They have a win over Tennessee. And they have a win on a neutral court over Kentucky. Yeah. I don't know how many teams in college basketball have 3 wins better than that. And look, I know.
Without shooting. Other than Hunter, he's the only one. I mean, again, McCullough made some tonight.
Well, that's what scares me about this group, right, is that we know what KJ Adams is. We know what Kevin McCullough is. We know what DeJuan Harris is. We know what Hunter Dickinson is. We know all 4 of those guys, the way that they are playing, can fill a role on a team that, I'm going to be honest, can win a national championship. What they need is a guy in that spot that is kind of the 2, the wing, the shooter, whatever you want to phrase it, right? You got Marco Jackson. He hasn't looked like he's quite ready yet. No. Johnny Furphy made a couple threes tonight.
He did.
Hasn't looked like he's quite ready defensively. Nick Timberlake, I want him to do well, man. No, he just does not look like he is ready for this moment.
He played 2 minutes tonight.
Jamari McDowell, he was good in the minutes that he played in the Maui Invitational. I don't know if he actually knows what is going on right now. So I'm very much in on this Kansas team, big picture, long term, because, look, I trust Bill Self to find a way to figure out that one spot.
Everybody does.
I think he's going to get it done.
Here's the thing with Kansas. I think it's got to be Hunter consistently. Their defense has got to be what stays with them. And the defense is going to be what gets into a Final Four. And then you've got Hunter Dickinson as the guy. And then it kind of changes after that, right? One night it's going to be DeJuan Harris. One night it's going to be Kevin McCullough like it was tonight. KJ Adams is capable. He does it differently, but he's capable of going for 12, 15 points. It's kind of just one of those things where, again, around Hunter, there's going to be enough guys that can kind of produce. They've got to be consistent.
Mm-hmm. We are live right now, Field of 68 After Dark. We're live on Stadium. We are live on our YouTube channel. We are live over on X, and we are currently breaking down the win for the number 4. Actually, it was the number 5 Kansas Jayhawks over number 4 UConn, 69-65. 21 points for Kevin McCullough, 18 points for KJ Adams, who was terrific. 15 points for Hunter Dickinson, who was really good in the first half. Wasn't as good in the second half. I thought we saw the best of Donovan Clingan defensively in the second half. I want to switch this. I want to change the focus to this UConn team right now. Yep. I have said for the last week and a half that we need to have a real conversation about where Tristan Newton is in terms of best guards, in terms of best players, in terms of All-Americans, in college basketball nationally. And I think that a lot of people got a chance to see what UConn fans have seen over the course of, let's say, the last 2 months of last season and the start of this season. He had a couple dry spells. January was not good for him at all. But when he's at his best, Jeff, I don't know how many guards in college basketball are as good as him. I don't think he could have been any better tonight. 31 points, 10 for 18 from the floor, 6 and 9 from 3.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I kind of agree with you. Like, Tristan Newton has established himself. I'm not taking him over a lot of these other guys, but he deserves to be mentioned in them, right? Like, he's not a pure point. He's not really a point. But what he is he can still initiate your offense, and he's become a big-time shooter who just does it quietly. right? He just kind of does it quietly. You look up there and you're like, every night now, I feel like he can go for 20. Tonight he went for 31. And like you said, if he had any help, like Alex Karaban wasn't very good tonight, right? Like, so LaBall didn't do a whole lot offensively. Klingon really was too quiet. Like, Klingon needed to be a man tonight. And I know it's hard to do against Hunter Dickinson, but he needed to be a man, and he just wasn't. And Karaban didn't have one of his typical Alex Karaban nights.
So here's what I'll say. After the first about 13 minutes, I thought that Klingon did a very good job.
He was more active.
Defensively,
Yeah.
He's never going to be a guy. This idea that you expect him to average 17, well, I'm not saying you specifically. I'm saying people in general, that they expect him to be like a 17 and 12 guy. That's not what he, like, I don't think he's necessarily going to be someone that is going to reproduce the production that you got out of Adama Sanogo last year. He's not someone you throw it to in the block and expect him to back somebody
Adama
down.
also could step up and make threes last year.
But they're very different players.
Right.
What makes Donovan Klingon so good is what we saw in the second half, what we saw the last 5 minutes of the first half, is his ability to change everything around the basket and make it so Kansas couldn't do anything in the paint in the last 25 minutes of that game.
Right.
And a lot of that has to do with the presence of Donovan Klingon back there. The reason why UConn could be a good defensive team this season when you have Tristan Newton and Cam Spencer as your on-ball defenders right now is because you have the Great Wall of Bristol standing there and around the basket. So, like,
he's still got to be more of an impact guy consistently, Rob. That's the one thing to me. In stretches, you see it, and then in stretches, you're just like, all right, like, I want him. You know what it is? Donovan Klingon is too nice. He's too nice, and sometimes he defers too much. Instead of demanding the ball, go get position in there. Right? Go seal up. Now, again, against Hunter, I know it's a little different, but it's not like Hunter's great defensively, right? Go back him down, get position, call for the ball, and go get it.
I don't know if he necessarily has the moves.
Power.
Here's where he's going to be at his best, is when UConn can run their offense and be able to get somebody coming off of a dribble handoff, off of a ball screen, off of something, getting downhill, and throw the ball up and let him go up and catch it and dunk it.
But you're telling me if he gets deep position, Rob, he can't turn and hit a –
Here's the thing. He has very high hips and a high center of gravity. So when he's going up against – like, if he's going up against someone that is 6'11" and 250 pounds, he can kind of out-muscle them. When you're going up against Hunter Dickinson, who is – probably like an inch shorter and maybe 20 pounds lighter, like, and who has a lower center of gravity and is better at holding position, that's not a great matchup for him to throw the ball into him and let him go to work. Where it is a great matchup is if you can get Tristan Newton coming off of a dribble handoff. All that is to say, you're right. I think they need more out of Klingon. If Klingon's going to be an All-American lottery pick,
he just needs to be more of an MFer.
To me, the biggest issue tonight was, one, Cam Spencer rolled his ankle in the first quarter,
and every shot he took
like
after
everything
that
was short. Like he did not have legs.
Right.
Like he had a wide open look to take the lead with 4 seconds left,
Yeah.
and that thing was a foot short. Yeah. He had a lot of missed shots. Alex Karaban, if he's going to be an NBA player, got to be better than what he was tonight. He fouled out 4 for 11 from the floor.
Yeah.
The only 3 that he hit was a wide open 3. So let me ask you this: after seeing this game tonight, you got to put all your chips. You got to take all your money. You got to say, I'm going to take my mortgage. I'm going to put it on one of these 2 teams to go farther in the NCAA tournament. Who would it be?
Oh, man. Well, here's the caveat to it. I need to see more out of Castle. I need to see Castle. I saw him in the preseason. Saw him a little bit at the beginning of the year. He's obviously a like high-level talent and something they need athletically.
There's
on both
2 things that he
court.
provides. One, he's going to be their best on-ball defender.
Yeah.
2, he's going to be versatile enough. He can guard point guards. He can also
handle
guard
the
a
ball.
guy like Kevin McCullough, who didn't have
And
an
he can
answer
handle
for.
the ball a little bit.
And
like,
he can
that's
get to the
other
basket
part.
and break.
Yeah.
What they don't have right now is a guy that can create offense when you don't create it out of the sets that Danny Hurley
Yeah,
gets.
I would say, like, personnel-wise, I think I like UConn. But I still say, like, I'm never going to bet against Bill Self when it's close.
Well,
and Danny Hurley's a hell of a coach, but he ain't Bill Self.
I love Bill Self. I love Bill Self, and I think that Kansas is still a top 3 to 5 team in America. But you know I'm taking UConn in this situation.
Of course.
No biases.
Of course
Goodman,
you
no
are.
got biases.